Are you doing too much for your kids? That's a question to ask. Are you stealing the struggle from your kids? And it certainly is a very tempting thing to do. Just the other day, I took the trash out, and my wife said, "Why did you take the trash out?" I said, "Because I don't know, it was there, and I was conditioned as a kid to believe that it was my responsibility." And she said, "Now it's time to transition that onto your own child." So she's right about that. But how many of us really responsible people, like I'm sure you are so programmed to jump in and do things that sometimes you do too much and the kids don't have an opportunity to do enough stuff. And so let's take a cue from the resiliency research and make sure that we are leaving enough stuff for our kids. And by the way, what happens if they refuse to do it? I know that we talk about these things a lot, but I bet there's some new subscription members here that are wondering, okay, Charles, that sounds great, that there ought to be a higher purpose and that the kids ought to do a bunch of stuff around the house, like contribute in the form of chores, but what if they don't do it? My recommendation is don't remind. Okay, well, let's back up. First of all, assign them a task. And don't say do it now. Give them a deadline. Why do you give them a deadline? So that you can figure out what you're going to do if they forget or refuse or do the chore, the job really poorly. And by the way, are these real jobs or made up jobs? No, they're real things. We go to the kid and say, we need you. You're an important member of the family. That's called purpose, the need to be needed. And we really need you to get this done because we just don't have enough hands and feet to get all this stuff done. And so when would it be reasonable for you to get this done? Well, I don't want to do it. Understandable. A lot of times I don't want to do my jobs, but we need you. So how about just have it done by tomorrow at, let's say 7 p.m. Well, that's too soon. If anybody can figure out how to get it done by then, you can. See, there's not a negotiation session. I give one choice and then the kid doesn't make the choice. I move on. I want to teach the kid to make choices. Do you suppose that's another resiliency factor? Anyway, give them a task, give them a deadline. Don't say do it now. Now here's the hard part. Don't say anything. You keep your mouth shut. This morning I left the trash alone and it was hard for me not to remind, and I was pleasantly surprised. Well, had mixed feelings because my son took out the trash. I was happy for him. I was sad for him. I was happy that he did the task. I was sad that he did the task because sometimes when they do the task, they don't learn as much as when they don't do the task, but he did the task. Okay, but let's say he didn't. Let's say that the trash got left right there beside the house instead of out at the curb. I do it. I'll do it. I'm happy to do chores for kids. But see, when they're their chores, what happens later on is what? Well, they got to pay me back some way. That's a bummer. Yeah, so maybe he needs me to do something or wants me to do something later in the afternoon. And don't make it a gotcha. Just make it sad. Oh, I love you. And the sad news is you forgot to take out the trash this morning. But rather than argue with you or raise my voice or get frustrated, I just did it for you. What do you think you can do? Well, I need you to, yeah, I understand. And what did I say? What are you going to do to repay me for my time? And there does need to be some accountability there. Okay, so, but problem-solving skills. What are problem-solving skills? Well, we've talked about it a few times already. Let's do a review. Problem-solving skills, or the process goes like this. Number one, I allow the kid to have a problem. That's right. And I empathize. Oh man, you got in trouble with your mom because you made a mess and you didn't clean it up, and now you're upset about that, and that's a bummer. I sure wish that I could help with that, but what do you think you're going to do? So it's empathy first, then the question, what do you think you're going to do? Well, I don't know. Sad not to know. Would you like to hear what some kids decide to do? And always make sure you say some kids. Some kids decide to do some of their mom's chores to help out. And then always ask, how will that work for you? See, what Dr. Benson and the other researchers on resiliency are discovering is that the kids who are really, really strong are the kids that understand this basic process. When you have a problem, you take some time and first of all, ask yourself, what have some other people done to solve that problem? What do you think I might be able to do to solve that problem? Maybe they go to other people and ask for help. Do you know anybody else who's had this problem? Have you ever had this problem? Maybe they get on the internet. Maybe they go and look in one of those old-fashioned things called books, but they are constantly asking themselves, what have other people done to solve this problem? How would that work out? What might I do to solve this problem? And how will that work out? Cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Visualizing cause and effect.